So hello, everybody. For those that do not know who I am, you probably should. It's Dr. Becky, and we are going to be talking about emotions and how that looks in your labs, aka your blood, and bioenergetics. This presentation should not be an hour. It should only be about a couple or 20, 25 minutes long. These are short little webinars that I am doing for Avexia Labs. I'm redoing it for you guys because I think it's just very beneficial. And I think, because we are all using bioenergetics or bioresonance, however you want to look at it, there are a lot of overlaps when you're looking at labs if you're someone who's looking at functional labs. And the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to get from today is just understanding that a lot of the emotional things that show up actually are reflected in your labs and blood work. I'm only going to go over a couple of basic patterns because I'm saving the deeper information for the next other webinars that I'm going to be doing. All right, so we've got emotions in the blood, a bioenergetic approach to interpreting labs. For those that don't know me, I am Dr. Becky. I am founder of Kimbley Quantum University and Kimbley Quantum Collective. I recently just got everything patented and trademarked, so you'll be seeing a lot of changes in the next few months. I am a doctor of natural medicine, still trying to finish my PhD in natural medicine as well. I am a certified bioenergetic practitioner and frequency-based healing mentor. My journey into healing began not in textbooks, but in personal transformation. Most of you guys know that I have come through Lyme disease not only once, but twice. I was undiagnosed for almost 18 years, being treated for thyroid disorders, and that was not even the root cause for me. When I got the scanner in the beginning of 2020 was when I started connecting the dots with Lyme disease and Bartonella and emotions. So I love talking about emotions. I love looking at emotions on labs and emotions in your AO scan because there's a lot of patterns and clues that your scanner is constantly giving you all day long. I have over 28 years of clinical experience. I have a background as a massage therapist, a physical therapist, CrossFit coach, personal trainer, functional medicine practitioner. So I've kind of been all over the place, all over the gamut for the last 28 years. I bridge a lot of science with spirit and quantum energy and quantum healing. I am now training the next generation of healers in understanding labs through a different lens, one that includes emotional resonance, energetic blocks, and frequency medicine. I believe labs just don't measure your chemistry. They actually tell you a story, much like we teach in our AO scan classes. Your AO scan is teaching you and giving you information on what is going on in your biofield every day. When you start to learn to listen deeply, you're going to find that the body is always speaking. It just needs the right interpreter, which is you, which is why we teach and train everyone to have this empowering information to be able to understand that communication that the AO scan is giving you. My mission is to empower women and practitioners to alchemize symptoms into sovereignty using emotional intelligence, energetic diagnostics, and personalized protocols that honor both biology and soul. So some of the things we're going to learn today is how the nervous system shapes your lab results and why dysregulation can mimic disease. We're going to talk a little bit about the power of bioenergetic testing to reveal what traditional labs might miss. We're also going to talk about how frequency and quantum energy can accelerate healing at the root cause level, and how trapped emotions create physical imprints and how they show up in both lab work and the energetic field. Why this matters? Well, if labs could tell us not just what's wrong, but how about what's unresolved? Have you ever thought about that when you're looking at either your labs or your AO scan reports? Today, we're just not reading labs, we are listening to the body's emotional language. There are several lab markers that can indicate a stressed nervous system and emotional dysregulation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're just going to go over some of the markers. There are lots more, but we're going to dive deeper into them when I do the rest of the series. These markers are going to provide insight into inflammation, hormone balance, neurotransmitter function, and overall stress response. So what are some of these markers? Oops. So we have mood and neurotransmitters. So you guys know these pictures because you have them in your vitals report. We have macrominerals, we've got hormones, and we've got vitamins and coenzymes. This is a snapshot of just some of the things that can be showing either on bioenergetic testing or labs. So we've got our B vitamins. So over here we see B6. We also see B12. Now, you guys have heard me talk a lot about when somebody is stressed, stress is usually going to pull the minerals out of your body. Your body's going to be burning through minerals. Your body's going to be burning through B vitamins as well. So a lot of times you'll see deficiencies in your B vitamins, primarily B6, B9, and B12. You're also going to see magnesium and vitamin D. So again, magnesium is something that we need for energy. The cells need energy, and typically when you're super stressed, you're going to be burning and blowing through magnesium. And then vitamin D. So if we look at if somebody is super stressed, maybe they're going through a divorce, maybe they're adrenal burnout, they're going to be blowing through minerals, they're going to be blowing through magnesium, they're going to be blowing through vitamin D. The first place in the body that usually gets pulled out of is your bones. So if you're seeing a lot of markers showing up in the microminerals, maybe in the vitamins and coenzymes, go look at the bone section in your vital scan and see what is going on in that area. We also have the hormones of serotonin, norepinephrine, and DHEA. Most of you guys know what they are, so that has a lot to do with the gut and the adrenals. So if we look here on, let's see, whoops, let me go back. If we look here, we have DHEA. You can see that showing up. We can also see serotonin down here and then norepinephrine at the top. So again, those markers are going to give us an idea of, is that person burned out? Are they stressed out? So what are some of those emotional signs of depletion? Well, we just talked about anxiety. We're talking about burnout. Maybe someone is living in despair. Maybe they just feel off all the time and they don't really understand why. Some of the energetic causes could be they're suppressed. They're suppressing their emotions. Maybe they have low self-worth. Is that coming up on their inner voice report, low self-worth? And then trauma loops. So those are some of the energetic causes that can be creating some of the imbalances, whether you're looking at your bioenergetic scans or your labs. Next section we have is stress and inflammatory markers. You guys all see the inflammation oxidation category here in your vitals report. So in this little snapshot right here, there's actually quite a few things going on here as far as inflammation is concerned. Now, a lot of people, when they listen to me teach, I always talk about not looking at everything line by line and looking at things in groups and pairs, which is what I'm going to be discussing again on Wednesday's webinar. So rather than nitpick each one of these individually, because we already know the person is stressed because there's cortisol dysfunction, myeloperoxidase is a heart marker. Histamine has to do with the liver. And then CRP and fibrinogen are both going to be inflammatory markers, and then how thick and clotty the blood may be. But as a group or a pair, there's a lot of inflammation going on in this person right now, and we need to figure out why. Once you start working on those basic foundations, bringing the inflammation down, then you can kind of start nitpicking and seeing, okay, Well, histamine keeps showing up out of all of these scans. Let's look at the liver and see what's going on. So what are some of those markers? We've got cortisol, we've got CRP, we have homocysteine, which on this slide, homocysteine seemed to be okay. We have HPA axis fatigue, so that's hypothalamus pituitary adrenal. So this is why you want to look at when there is stress coming up in the body, what is the hypothalamus doing? What is the pituitary? What is the adrenals doing? All of those things are related. When there are adrenal issues, there's probably going to be thyroid issues too. So again, when you talk about people who have thyroid disease, a lot of those people have sometimes issues with their throat chakra. They're not able to express their opinion. Maybe they've been told to be quiet. Maybe they just cannot voice the things that they want to voice because they're afraid. They're afraid to speak out. So some of the emotions here of like fear, urgency, resentment, burnout. Burnout is typical with the adrenals, which then affects the thyroid. What are some of the bioenergetic cues? Well, you're going to have somebody who has poor boundaries, which again, if we're talking about the thyroid again, a lot of people who have thyroid issues are usually people pleasers. There are going to be people who just want to do and make everybody else happy. They take care of everyone else and usually take care of themselves last, which means they have poor boundaries. If we look at poor boundaries a little bit further, when energetically we start seeing a lot of parasites showing up on the AO scan, the first thing in my mind is number one, we need more stomach acid to make sure we are blocking the entrance point. But number two, if you're doing all of that and you're still seeing a lot of parasites come up, you want to consider what's going on energetically. Are you leaking a lot of energy? Are you overgiving? Do you have poor boundaries? Is somebody or something sucking the life out of you? Because those are reasons why parasites can still be showing up energetically in your scans. We also have the people who overgive. So again, overgiving, pleasing, that's going to eventually burn out your hypothalamus and your adrenals and your thyroid. And then again, we have stored rage. Rage is something that goes along with Bartonella. Bartonella is a co-infection of Lyme disease. So again, if you're someone who's trying to come through Lyme disease and you're doing all the things like I did, you have to kind of understand what's going on energetically because that may be the missing link for you or emotionally. The next slide here, we have immune and infection markers. So some of the components can be platelets, neutrophils, Epstein-Barr, which again, a lot of those are Lyme markers as well. We've got herpes, we have Lyme. In these two photos here, this is from your vital scan, so you can see bacterial diseases. We've got Bartonella, Borrelia, Brucella, Babesia. These are just some of the co-infections of Lyme disease. And then it's very rare that I see people with Lyme disease that do not have Epstein-Barr and some version of herpes. So we have quite a few versions of herpes. We've got HHV6, HSV2 and 1, and then Epstein-Barr. This is kind of a common palette of what you're going to see. And then a lot of times you'll see candida, fungus, and mold as well. So again, looking at these infections as messengers, not invaders. Much like we teach in a lot of our curriculum, when you have pain, if your body is experiencing pain, what is going on emotionally? What is your body signaling that you need to do or change or assess? Because all those things that are happening to us in our body are happening for a reason. And again, we have the AO scan software that gives you your clues. Your body is whispering to you each and every day, and your AO scan is giving that education to you. This slide over here, if you're not familiar with this, that is the chemistry, which is from the body systems. And you can see it's tracking a lot of the same. We've got platelets here. We have neutrophils. And then a lot of times I will also look at lymphocytes and monocytes if I'm looking at infections, Lyme disease, herpes, Epstein-Barr. So again, being curious, why are these things happening in my body? Because I want you to understand something here. And this is a thing that a lot of people seem to be missing. The big picture is you have to understand that this is just scanning energy. It's scanning your biofield. Okay. So I want you to imagine being with someone in the same house and having an argument with them. Okay. You disconnect from that argument, you go to another room, you scan yourself. There's probably going to be some residue of emotions, anger, fear, whatever it may be, from the argument that you had that is still stuck or attached in your biofield. So when you're looking at those scans, you kind of need to like think about, okay, is this even my stuff? Did I just have an argument with somebody? Am I thinking about somebody all the time? If you're thinking about somebody all the time, they're in your headspace for a reason. It could be good and it could be bad. If we look at some of these emotions for immune and infection markers, we have betrayal, we have depletion, or I don't feel safe in my body. Not feeling safe in someone's body is a huge thing. It's something that we see a lot of right now because people are trying to heal themselves, but it's really hard to heal when your nervous system is dysregulated or you're stuck in fight or flight all the time. So if someone's not feeling safe in their body, that's going to drain their body. They're going to become depleted. They're going to be running through those minerals that we talked about. When the system, your body systems get low, your immune system gets compromised, that's going to be an open door for all these different infections to come in. So again, these are messengers. What message are they trying to tell you? If we look at the bottom here, the frequency message, it's going to be the immune system is equaling energetic boundaries. So again, it goes back to what are your boundaries? What are you leaking energy out of? Now, how do we work with this? So we have integration through the biofield. And again, we talked about our biofield. That's kind of like the field of energy, your aura, whatever people like to call it. Everyone talks about it. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter how you talk about it. There is an energetic field around your body, okay? If you're not sure what that is, I want you to think about if you've walked into a room and there was just an argument. When you walk into that room, you feel, you sense that the energy shifted and changed. Your antenna's up. You can tell when someone is standing behind you, maybe 2 or 3 feet. You can kind of feel that someone is staring at you or someone's behind you. That is energy in your biofield alerting you to your environment. I also want you to understand that bioenergetic testing can pick up patterns before even blood work will. And it can up to at least 5 years earlier. So we have the privilege of being able to use this AOScan software because we're going to get privy to information and education way before it may even show up on blood work. Okay? So you're going to be having this information for you to be able to kind of rectify or make shifts and changes in your daily life to prevent anything happening later. So energy is always going to come first. Bioenergetics come first. Every cell emits a frequency. We all know that. Our emotions have a frequency, color has frequencies, crystals have frequencies, essential oils have frequencies, your liver has a frequency, your bone cell has a frequency. It's going to emit a frequency before it expresses in the biochemistry. Okay? Your symptoms are always going to appear last. So when I teach DNA, one of the things I always talk about is by the time it hits the physical body, it's already there. Your body's already screaming. It's much like the check engine light is finally on in your car, and your car is like, oh my God, will you please just do something for me? So we always talk about reverse engineering and kind of going backwards and figuring out why did those symptoms appear? Why do you have back pain? Is it because you have leaky gut? Is it because there's stuff going on in the kidneys or the adrenals? What emotions are going on? Are you exhausted? Are you burned out? Are you bending over backwards for people? The physical things are going to come last. Labs measure the aftermath. Bioenergetics addresses the origin. So think about that. You guys are using bioenergetics. You can address the origin or the root cause before it becomes the aftermath, and labs then measure it. How do we integrate through the biofield? Well, one is obviously just scanning with our AO scan software. And healing isn't going to be about fixing numbers on a lab report. It's more about restoring coherence in your energy field. That's what's going to inform those numbers, those highs, those lows, those nines, and those ones. Nothing is ever fixed because we are energy, and energy keeps flowing and ebbing. So we like to use, you can use sound, vibration, and light. Those are the three basic common ones that most people use. This is why we use the different color lasers. This is why we can use sound therapy through MindSync or Inner Voice. We also have tuning forks. Now, I used to use tuning forks before I actually had all the tuning forks in the AO scan. You're emitting specific vibrations to elicit a response in specific parts of the body. My first experience with using tuning forks was actually really cool. When I was a physical therapist, we would actually use a tuning fork to diagnose a stress fracture in the bone. So when you would bang the tuning fork and then place it on the suspected stress fracture, the person would go through the roof because that vibration would irritate that bone that's sensitive. So we used it as a way of diagnostic, which again, you're using vibration or light or sound. All of that can reset your natural resonance of your cell because again, we are looking at how can we best help and support the cell. It's going to balance the body and reveal hidden emotional imprints, which are going to affect your organ systems. So if you're interested in empowering your practice, I know you guys are all using the AO scan already. You're already using cutting edge technology. So this is more for the end of my PowerPoint presentation, which you guys do not need to click on. But again, I just want to remind everybody, because I know we have some new people on this call, we do have a university. We also offer a lot of free education for those on our team. So one of the selling points that a lot of team members will use is that, hey, when you come join our organization, we actually have a multi-accredited university. We have free training. We have free online training and online courses to get you started and get you going. Yes, we do offer paid training and is offered as a discount for everyone who is on our team. And that is geared to those people who want to become practitioners. They want to integrate everything into their business. So again, I like to look at it as we have two different levels. We have the free level, the more the educational information. And again, for those practitioners that are super hungry and they want to learn, they want to develop, they want to do all these wonderful things, we have all those other certifications. So that was all I have today. I hope that kind of clears some of the air on emotions and labs and what it looks like on the bioresonance device that we use. And I will give you guys a couple minutes if you have any questions. Nobody has any questions. Everyone knew all that information. Thanks, Lee. Hi, Jody.
Hi. What I've been doing is, could you talk about and clarify, because you're looking a lot on the right, which is the previous to scanning and optimizing, the columns over there. After you optimize, stuff supposed to and usually does look better on the left. So in looking at this, should you really be focusing on before scan, especially obviously if it doesn't optimize that, I know you need to take a look at, but how do you look at this in terms of what you're talking about? If it's just a one-shot deal, you're looking at a couple of things, or do you have to actually go through with all the things that you list and see if they're off prior to scan, if they don't resolve after scan, and just kind of track those factors to know what you're dealing with.
Yep. So one of the things that we've taught a lot of, again, I've been teaching the same thing since 2020. Yes, I hang out heavily on the right because what you're going to see, and I don't even remember how many, I have probably done at least 1,000 scan analysis. So yes, I look heavily on the right because what the trend and pattern that you will see is yes, it optimizes on the left, but if it's still an issue, it's going to keep coming back on the right. The other thing that people miss is they're still looking at each individual line item, which you cannot do. You need to look at things in trends and patterns because I like to talk about the chess players that keep changing on the chessboard. So let's just talk about like thyroid. So we've got thyroid, we've got throat chakra, we've got T3, T4, selenium, zinc. All of those tell me there's something going on with the thyroid, and that's all that I really care about at this point. So one day you might see T3, T4 come up. Another day you might see thyroid or thyroid chakra. So those chess players are going to interchange and change each time you do a scan, but the trend still remains that there is something going on with the thyroid. And that's what you need to dive deeper and figure out, well, what's going on? Is there an infection? Is there a mineral deficiency? Is there something going on emotionally? But I do hang out higher on the right side because what I have noticed is, yes, I see things on the right. Yes, they do optimize on the left. But then when I scan again, maybe in another week or the next session, things that were a problem will still keep showing up on the right.
Well, that brings up something, then maybe you could clarify this. You're looking at the right, and but you're not looking line item. You shouldn't be dealing with line item. But let's say you've coming up with a whole bunch of reds in the parasite section. You know, some parasites could show up and not show up. Your knowledge in terms of this is so far advanced. How can you, I would love to see some sort of a mind map of, okay, if this shows up in parasites, look for this, look for
Yeah,
that, look for that.
it's in the bioenergetic certification program that I have. It's all mapped out already.
Uh, how is it mapped out? I'm curious to know.
I
As
have
an
it all mapped out. Like I literally gave everyone a cheat sheet. Like if you see this, you need to go look at this. If this comes up, you need to go look at this. If this comes up, you need to go scan that. And I actually have a template in there of how I go through all the scans. And I've got multiple scan analyses in there with all of my reports already. And I literally walk everybody through from start to finish. So, when people are like, you can't get information out of one scan, this is actually what I'm going to go over again on my webinar. Because if you look at inner voice, vitals, body systems, comprehensive, all in one scan, you can get a crap ton of information just out of that one scan to get you in the right ballpark.
Yeah, if you know what you're looking for, if
Right.
you know
And that's
how to
what
connect.
well, you don't
Yeah.
even have to know because if you go to the inner voice, your inner voice is already telling you what to go look at as far as body systems are concerned.
Well, this brings up an issue with inner voice. Uh, no one no one that I'm working with does inner voice. They don't send me a little voice recording. Um, and even though theoretically, from what we talked about before, you can turn off the volume and have them as the client, turn off the volume all the way off, run inner voice. Um, but they don't get the voice recordings to listen to resolve because they're not going to do that. At least the people I'm working with, you know, mostly friends and family who say, gee, that's nice. Please go ahead and do it. I get their permission, but they're not going to follow through with taking action on this. So how can you take advantage of the inner voice in a situation like that to help you determine things?
So you just I use inner voice and don't even use the voice. And we play it because they're still getting the frequencies. If you look at your inner voice reports and look at the body systems, those are the body systems you want to focus on in vitals and then body systems and comprehensive.
Ah, use that as
Yep.
the master to look for, to then correlate with
Yep.
body systems and vitals.
Yep. So in that inner voice report, you get 4 reports. And this, again, this is what I'm going to literally go over again on Wednesday. because I don't know why people just are not getting this. I'm like, the report is literally telling you what to do and where to go look. So you'll see, digestion or small intestine, large intestine, liver, endocrine, whatever it may be, connective tissue, cardiovascular. Those are the systems that you want to keep an eye out for when you scan for vitals. And then I only scan those systems again in body systems and then again in comprehensive. And then what you're going to start to see is, oh, I keep seeing selenium show up. Oh, I keep seeing fear of failure showing up. You're going to start to see things that just keep showing up over and over. That's what you're extracting. So
Mm.
you don't even need to know all the cheat sheets and the brain dumps that I have in my certification programs, because even if you don't know that stuff, the inner voice report is still alerting you to what systems you need to look at. And then keep scanning those systems deeper and deeper, because I want you to understand this concept. When you do inner voice is kind of just scratching the surface. It's getting the nervous system to calm down so that you can do the rest of the scans. When you go into vitals, you're getting a little bit deeper. When you open up body systems and only scan 3 to 5 body systems, you're getting even deeper into those problem areas that were in inner voice. When you go into comprehensive, you're now still doing those same organs or systems. You're getting another layer down. So at the end, even if you don't know anything else, you don't have the database, you're going to know there's viruses coming up, there's parasites coming up, there's fear coming up, there's something going on with the thyroid and the liver. Create your Cephi playlist just from that stuff. It's not magic. There's no magic to my frequency playlists. I literally just look at what's going on with people's scans, and then I find the associated frequencies in Cephi to build that Cephi playlist to assist everything that I saw in those scans.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Most people are overcomplicating it. That's why I was like, I'm going to do a webinar on Wednesday and kind of rehash things that I've been teaching consistently since 2020. Well, every time I go into the Solex group, I'm still like, they're still overcomplicating it. And I just don't know why. And maybe it's just me and the way my brain works. But if you just take that inner voice report and look at the body systems, you can even start looking at like the top emotions that keep coming through. The scan that I'm going to be doing on Friday, I mean, self-worth and fear of failure came up in almost all the reports and then showed up again in body systems. Anyone have any other questions? Yeah, Deb Sullivan. It's this Wednesday at 3. I'm doing a webinar. There's a sign up in the Quantum Wellness Solutions with AO Scan group.
Thanks.
Yep. But you already know all this already, so it's nothing new to you.
Could you put a link to that sign up in the chat? That'd be helpful. There are too
I'll
many.
put it in Team Agape.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
All right, guys, everyone good? Nobody has any other questions, comments, concerns, anything?